What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, in the 6 or so months since the news that Robert Downey Jr. is officially returning, but this time as Dr. Doom, fans have had a chance to voice their opinion about the matter, and the consensus seems generally the same. No matter how you feel about it, there's a lot of pressure on Marvel to deliver now that they've chosen to go this route, and whether you think that it's lazy writing and that they shouldn't have brought him back, especially in this capacity, because he's just too iconic as Iron Man, or you're excited at the proposition but still have zero idea on how they're going to work this out, one fact remains in the face of all of this: Marvel does not have a lot of runway to establish and explain any of this in the context of Dr. Doom before we're ushered into Secret Wars and he assumably will become God Emperor Doom. Now, we know for sure the two places that Dr. Doom will show up are Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, but a lot of people have speculated he's also going to be introduced during the upcoming Fantastic Four because of a quote from Matt Shakman where he admitted he had known about Robert Downey Jr.'s casting as Dr. Doom in almost a year before it was announced. We'll talk about that during this video because we have the latest in a string of updates from an anonymous Twitter scoopster who's indicating that Doom will actually have 3 to 4 appearances in the Multiverse Saga before Secret Wars. And because we know a little bit about the slate, what's upcoming and what might come, we're going to try to add some context to this and talk about the 4 places that may be. We're breaking it all down. Doom's multiple appearances now reported for the Multiverse Saga, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. Sub button is a great way to support us here at the channel, plus it enters you for the giveaways. Stick around at the end of the video, we get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this latest update actually comes from the anonymous Twitter scoopster Hollyfield News. You guys can follow them over on Twitter at HollyfieldM5. They're a rather new name in the scoop game, one of many who have cropped up here recently, and because their scoops are all very new and fresh for upcoming projects, we really don't have a beat on their accuracy yet. So take that as you will as we wade into the scoop, but according to them, Doom is going to have 3 or 4 appearances before Secret Wars. Now, we know obviously Avengers Doomsday is one of those appearances, but the other 2 are curious. Now look, we have 3 movies coming out from Marvel this year: Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four. And as I mentioned during the prologue, Fantastic Four looking like a likely suspect here. Plus, when you consider the other 2 films in Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, I think it very unlikely that either of those movies happen to touch the multiverse outside of possibly setting up an Avengers team. Probably no cameos from Dr. Doom. I don't see him being in either of those films. Fantastic Four, most likely. Avengers Doomsday next year, also true. But if this scoop is true, that would leave at least 1, if not 2 cameos for Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom between now and Avengers Secret Wars. And let's face it, it's not going to be in Ironheart on Disney+. Most likely, the only film confirmed between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is Spider-Man 4, and I don't think he will be the villain or even cameo in that film for reasons we'll get into. However, the other mystery film slated for February, which people have speculated on, maybe one of a handful of films, would actually come before Avengers Secret Wars, and he might be the villain in that one. But the reason this becomes problematic, and for any Marvel movie that would look to seek Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom outside of a small cameo, is that there's got to be a ton of money now automatically associated with the budget for casting him. We know they paid him upwards of $150 million for these next 2 Avengers films, and of course, if he's going to be in a real role outside of just a post-credit scene cameo, which may be the case, that's going to add a boatload to the bottom line for the production costs on these Marvel movies, which they're already trying to find ways to sort of roll those back and not spend $300 million every time they make one. That being said, we were at least exposed to Thanos one time outside of just post-credit scenes and during Guardians of the Galaxy, and if it's not going to be Fantastic Four, you would assume Marvel Studios would benefit a lot by him showing up as the villain in a separate film, be it Doctor Strange 3, or if because it's the only film they've got between now and then, Spider-Man 4. If that's the place he needs to be developed as a character, Marvel Studios is going to benefit from that. Dr. Doom is an extremely complex character. The Russos said as much at his introduction during San Diego Comic-Con. They are not trying to attempt to rush this character in any way, and only because we're going to be a God Emperor Doom in Secret Wars in like the next 28 months. So everyone would be benefited. The character, the development on the character, the storyline for Avengers Secret Wars, everything would be benefited by having him show up more times than not, and not just post-credit scene cameos, actual involvement with the storyline as an actual character. And that just means Marvel and Sony are going to be paying Robert Downey Jr. I don't know how many millions if he shows up in 2 or 3 of these films between now and then. And look, outside of the validity of the scoop, which we will find out, and in the short period of time over the next couple of years, it's just logical for Marvel Studios to do this. I have no idea what in the world Spider-Man 4 must look like right now from a writer's standpoint, but how are you going to have Doomsday end in any sort of impactful way on the multiverse, and then have Spider-Man 4, if it's not a prequel, which I do not think that they'll be willing to do, how are you going to have Spider-Man 4 have any sort of relevance to just being a grounded story at all? That has to have been the rub and why things have been so difficult in the writing process between being a multiverse story and being a grounded story with Spider-Man. Him showing up as the major villain in that film would also have a ton of sort of relevance to the zeitgeist of Marvel, only because of the rapport and the relationship that Spider-Man and Iron Man had inside the MCU, and they could really capitalize on what that relationship used to mean as far as the manipulation of Peter Parker and his storyline if they sort of set up Doctor Doom as a villain and during that film going after Peter Parker. Now, we haven't tried to wade into the reasons that Doctor Doom may want to get to the 616. I think that there are multiple, and they all sort of need to work into the same theory video, although you would hope that in the next couple of Marvel movies they answer some of these questions. But on a short list of characters that we know may be the 616 anchor being, Peter Parker may be one of them, and the whole reason you introduce a concept like anchor being during Deadpool and Wolverine, as we've talked about here at the channel, is because you're about to use it in an upcoming movie in a meaningful way, and you needed to get that lingo introduced as part of the canon. So the easy explainer that's right in front of us is that Peter Parker happens to be the anchor being of 616, and Robert Downey Jr.'s new Doctor Doom persona is going after all of the anchor beings to wipe them out to help him destroy parts of the timeline and weaken it so he can ultimately take on Loki, God of Stories Doom. And if the story goes a little bit something like that, then they don't have to really work out why the movie is happening, just how it all goes down. I still think this is, again, the main reason Spider-Man 4 has been in so much flux, because it's so dependent on what happens with the 2 Avengers movies that Marvel Studios still hasn't figured out themselves. That being said, you may have heard that just days ago, we got the news that Spider-Man 4 may have already cast its villain. Now we're hearing less than a day later that Doctor Doom is showing up a bunch in the MCU before Avengers Secret Wars. And while there is sort of a synchronicity there with the 2 reports maybe pointing to each other in corroboration, I'm still going to leave this whole thing in grain of salt territory and just assume the first place we're going to see him is in the upcoming Fantastic Four. We'll see how much screen time he has there. But you guys let me know all your reactions to this down below. Do you like the idea of Doom showing up a lot? And of course, how do you feel about him being the Spider-Man 4 villain? I'm all ears as always. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away a ton of PlayStation 5s here at the channel. Super simple to be entered to win. Just be a sub, leave a comment on this video, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will always be announced live with my voice in the winning comments shown on screen. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And of course, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under the name Allfires. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.